We are now joined by Dave Wakeling of the English Beat. The English Beat will be performing at the Brighton Music Hall in Alston on Monday, November 6th. Dave, thanks so much for speaking with me today.
Hi, pleasure, sir. How are you?
Doing great. You have a large tour planned for the rest of the fall and winter all around the U.S. What do you have planned for these shows?
Well, we're playing the greatest hits, digging a little deeper, and then a growing handful of new songs from the new record that's about finished now and will be coming out in the springtime. We'll also be playing the mixes of the tracks in between our set and the opening band, or at the beginning or the end. So if people hear something that they like but they don't think they've heard before, that would be the perfect response.
Tell me about the new record. It's expected to arrive in early 2018?
That's correct. Here We Go, Love. It's entitled, and it's 13 diamonds, really. We just started playing running orders, sequencings. You've been thinking about it all along when you're recording on songs about, well, where would stuff fit in and what songs fit against each other, and maybe thematically even, or musically, tempos. So it's been mulling it over, and just at the beginning of this week, we did what might be the final set of little tweaks or fixes, or doing something a bit more or a bit less. We're very close now, and we think we did the last couple of days work on the 13 songs and started writing down our running orders and crossing out and trying something. We came up with a running order, but and it seems to make the song shine even a little bit more. They all kind of seem better now in each other's company. We've been listening to them individually in the main part, and we've been working on them. But as a collection of songs, you weren't forced, as sometimes has been the case, where, what song are you going to try and hide in the middle of side 2 of the vinyl? Track 3 or 4, side 2,
Yeah.
But there isn't anything to hide. It's like, as you get towards the end of the album, you're like, really? A song that good's got to be that far down the list? Really? Are you sure? But I think that might be nice. It doesn't trail off, it's not side 1 heavy, as they used to call it in vinyl days. But it's a really nice collection of songs that hang together well, go from heart-wrenching ballad to supersonic power punk pop. But it all sounds like the same group, and it sounds like they mean it, which is remarkable, really. Well, I mean, we do, but that's beside the point. It's nice to have achieved that on a record. I'm surprised and pleasantly thrilled, really. I think, and I listen to the songs from a distance without being too analytical. Just let the songs roll in the background. They sound just like they sounded in my head before we started recording it. They're the same tempo, the same lilt, the same feel, the same emotional talk. When you sing the songs in your head, they're always perfect, orchestra behind you, not a note out of place, and you don't really even need to sing them. You can just pull the faces as if you were singing them to try and read its emotional tenor or timbre. I wonder what it is. Anyway, you know what I mean. And so I'm ever so pleased that when I listen along to the songs one after the other, the emotion and the tempo and the feel of the songs sounds as it sounded in my head, which is lovely, because I didn't know that I'd be able to translate something as accurately as that, which is nice. A combination of a really great studio and engineer and producer with all of the great classic amps and guitars and equipment from the 60s and 70s, but now combined with the kind of stealth bomber dashboard of computer recording. So to get the best out of the both. So it sounds really warm and analogy, and we managed to incorporate the Studer board as though it was an instrument, you know, just the effect that running music through classic valves has, and then back into the computer. So it's sort of in and out of the box, mixing on the computer, and then when we wanted something that sounded like it was going through a mixing board and being driven hard, that's what we do, and take the sound of that and incorporate it and bring it back into the computer. So we were sitting there in the room with both types of gear and trying to combine and get the best of both. And to a large extent, it seems we have. I think it sounds lovely, and then they say, "Oh, you wait till it's mastered."
Yeah.
So, yes, it's very good. I suppose the only thing now that slightly begs the question is, what's the point of bringing out an album nowadays, and who buys it anyway? But apart from that, I should say that the plan is almost perfect. You know, I suppose we'll spend the rest of the time busy looking around for record shops to go and do in stores at.
There you go.
I don't think they have many of them left either, do they? But well, I'm really proud of it. Other people from the original lineup have heard it, and they think it sounds great. And the original producer, Bob Sargent, who sort of acted as my international internet executive producer this last year or so, going through the mixes as the song came together. He thinks we've done a smashing job too. So it's you spend so much time somewhere between exhilarated and terrified that it takes you a little while to get used to people saying, "Oh, that's great, it's finished." It's like, what?
Seems like you'd never get there.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think part of the artist in you doesn't want to, you know. The fun of it is in trying to use the instruments to further refine the sort of emotional message or vibe you were trying to. So it could become endless, really, because it's endlessly nuanced, you know, and not just really to do with the instrumentation, but, you know, if you have the piccolos a bit louder, it makes the vocal sound a bit more like the person's more desperate. You know, and if the recorders are a bit louder, it makes the vocal appear to sound more sort of sad or self-confident, but sad. And so the message of the lyrics and the effect of the voice is changed quite a lot by fractional little touches, which I suppose people like Mozart and Beethoven knew ages ago. But, you know, so it's more about the intricacies, and sometimes I can see why they went nuts now. It's being a composer rather than a folk singer. You know, so it starts off as me and the acoustic guitar, and then it starts to turn into composition as I used a great engineer to help me tell me what the instrument was that I could hear the sound of in my head. You know, I'd go, I'm like, what makes that noise then? He's like, what? That's your bassoon or your bass clarinet, isn't it, Dave? Depends whether you want an edge on it bop, 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 or whether you want it smooth. Boo, 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 boo. I was like, smooth. He was like, well, that's your bass clarinet, isn't it? It was.
Bass clarinet is one of the coolest instruments.
It's nice to look at. I've never seen one before. There's a few instruments I never got to see close up, but I could hear them in my head. So we had somebody come in and play it. You know, we had a piccolo trumpet and some piccolos. They were lovely to watch. God, piercing, and a timpani for a set of timpanis, I suppose, for the ballad, the power ballad. Sounds like an aeroplane passing by the room outside the window. Fabulous. So that was good part of it, good fun. And I don't know as I'd want to do 13 all at the same time again, though. That's a bit much.
Yeah.
You know, that's a bit much. But hopefully we might not need to if we get any interest at all out of these 13. And I think we will, then probably much better for us to just do songs one or two at a time, because nobody's going to want to write how long it's going to take for me to get another 13 written them together.
I saw you perform last year at the Wilbur Theater in Boston, and you were using a guitar on stage that looks almost like a cross between a Telecaster and a Strat. Can you tell me about the white guitar that you've been using for a long time?
It's a Vox Teardrop, or more accurately, it's a copy of a Vox Teardrop by a bloke called Jack Charles, who used to play the guitar for, I forgot. Anyway, an 80s band. And I saw a rock 80s band. And the one guitar is a copy of Brian Jones's guitar.
Interesting.
The BJ6, and the other one, that Brian Jones had two pickups on his guitar, so the rhythm guitar sounds very smooth sounding, and then the other one is a three pickup with a whammy bar, and that was the model preferred by Keith Richards. So I've got both Rolling Stones guitars,
yeah,
and in Keith Richards tuning as well, which. I used quite a lot on the first few records. I could only play the guitar in that tuning. I didn't learn to play it in proper tuning until the third record. And I Confess was my first go at playing a song to real tuning. By the third album, I thought you might as well try. You know, it looks as though this is now becoming a full-time job. That's why I've got the four guitars on stage. There's two in the main tuning that I use, which is the Rolling Stones record, G tuning, and then the red one is for the Save It for Later shape that tune songs, Click Click, the new one, Never Die. And then the other one, the Keith Richards one, is for songs where I learned to play it properly, as it was called.
What were some of the big influences for you when you were first forming the band? Were the Rolling Stones one of them?
They had been a lot growing up, and still were at that time as well, I think, yeah. You kind of you were forced to choose whether you liked the Beatles or the Rolling Stones in England. You sort of felt a bit jealous of people over there. I think you were allowed to like both. But not in England you weren't. You either had to like the Beatles or the Rolling Stones. And so I did like the Beatles to start with, and then I sort of transferred. And I still liked some of the songs, but the Rolling Stones' attitude was, I think, what appealed. The "we piss anywhere, man" attitude. And they were sort of like the dangerous ones, weren't they? Although you'd have to say John Lennon was the genius out of the bunch of them all, really. But it has much to do with marketing, isn't it? Rolling Stones only really got 2 songs, but they played both of them great.
Yeah.
And I could listen to them forever. And that was very good, because once I've got the tuning, you can breeze through the Rolling Stones catalog pretty quick. Well, so long as you're following Keith Richards. When they started having Nick, what's his name, in.
When you were first forming the band, did you want to take, like you said, kind of the attitude of bands like the Rolling Stones or some other punk bands at that time and combine it with reggae ska influences?
Well, I think you're only ever some of your influences, really, aren't you? So, yes, we're trying to mix up everything. Mixing up punk with a bit of the Rolling Stones, which was already in punk quite a bit, and Sex Pistols, and that was sort of a celebration of the Rolling Stones guitars. Reggae, but also stuff like Van Morrison and Tim Buckley.
Huh.
Emotional singers, you know.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, Roxy Music or Brian Ferry, another like emotional singer. And Elvis Costello and the Buzzcocks. So when we started, I thought that I was just a hopeless impersonator of all of my influences. I couldn't hear anything original about it at all. And then a few months in, people said, "God, you've got a really signature voice, you know. It doesn't sound like anything else." And I could only still hear Elvis and Brian Ferry and
Yeah.
trying to do Tim Buckley. But now I've got used to it. I still wonder, but I take it that people do hear something of a signature voice when I sing. And so even if I'm not feeling it at the moment, I just relax. Feel very grateful that they hear it at least.
On the I Just Can't Stop It album, you did a cover of the classic song Can't Get Used to Losing You. What was the decision to record a cover of that classic?
My dad said to me that, he said, "You know where you've been going wrong, don't you? We haven't brought out a record yet." But he said, "You know where you've been going wrong, don't you?" And I said, "No, do tell." And he said, "Well, I blame the Beatles, really," he said, "because they started it all thinking they could do the lot. Oh, we're going to write the songs, we're going to play them, we're even going to help do the picture bag it goes in." I blame the Beatles for it. He said, "You didn't see Frank Sinatra sitting up writing songs all night, did you, Dad?" I'm like, "No." He said, "No. He was out doing models. He had Tin Pan Alley, Dave. Professional songwriters, not being funny, but real songwriters. That's who wrote his songs for him. That's where you've been going wrong." And I was like, "Oh, well, thanks very much anyway." And he said, "You know what you could really..." I don't like to swear, but he did swear. We were at home, we didn't mind. But you know what you could sing out of, don't you? That can't get loose to using you. He called it, mixed the words round. A spoonerism by accident, probably, but who knows, yeah. Can't get loose to using you. And it was odd because it had quite a reggae bass to it. Boom, 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 boom. Sounds kind of reggae-ish, and it fitted a reggae-ish sort of drum. So we thought we'd have a go at it. And it sounded really nice in the studio, apart from I had no idea how to sing it. The moment I tried to sing it sincerely, I started giggling a bit. And it was starting to get a bit tense in the studio, and then somebody said, "Well, just do Andy Williams." And I just started doing Andy Williams, and within a few takes of it, I'd started, at least I'd joined in. That was Dave Wakeling with Andy Williams.
Yeah.
And we got a good take that way. So some of it, I can tell, kind of listening to the lines, which ones I was now fully flying, and that's your Dave Wakeling version, or a couple of lines later on the record, he goes, oh, yep, there's Andy. Loving you. I really started to research Andy Williams afterwards. I had no idea that they had the TV show with his three other brothers. Who knew he had three other brothers? Not me. Probably everybody over here, but then Americans know everything. But no, not in England. We didn't know that. You had to like either the Rolling Stones or the Beatles, and we just thought there was Andy Williams, not the Williams brothers. And the one brother, I think, fancied himself as a bit of a contender because he was always leaning forward in his chair, like trying to take the lead. And truth be known, I think he was a little taller and perhaps even a little more handsome than Andy. But you could see by the second verse of the song, Andy sees what's going on, and he's like, yeah, this is the Williams brothers, like Andy Williams and his brothers. Thank you, and he, loving you, cast a little look over to the brother who'd sit back on his coffeeed stool, and Andy was back in charge. We thought it was remarkable that even one person in the world had a shirt and sweater, but it turned out it wasn't really a shirt. It was just a bit that stuck inside the sweater to make it look like you were wearing two items of clothing. I mean, we were amazed by that in England. And to know that then there were four brothers who wore matching items, or sometimes switched around, so one had got a pretend orange roll neck inside, and another one would have like a attractive lime green or something like that. We were bowled over, and I'm still thinking it could come back, that look.
Do you see the name of the band really as just the Beat or the English Beat?
I think the group should have been called the Beat. But Paul Collins got there first, at least for America. He's one of the guys that wrote Hanging on the Telephone, which is a great song. And we ended up touring together once as both bands, two beats hearting as one, we called it. And it was very good. I kind of like his power pop of this. I think ours is beatier because it's more rhythmically driven. His is more, it's the same kind of beat all the way through. It's that power pop beat, isn't it? So I think he's more melody. He should have called himself Melody. But he didn't, and so we had to be the Beat something, and they wanted the Beat UK. And I said I'd rather not be in a group than be in anything called Something UK. It was getting late in the day, and in a deli in New York, one of the first times in one of those sort of places, noticed English muffins, which they don't call them English muffins in England. They don't even call them muffins actually in Birmingham. They call them pikelets. What a muffin's called in different cities, you can more or less tell where somebody's from by how they describe a muffin. Yep, they're called pikelets. But anyway, the English pikelets, that awful name. But it seemed as though the word English had cute connotations as opposed to the word British, which was kind of the old empire, those bleeding redcoats, etc. So I suggested the English Beat, and the record company all fell off their marketing stools and thought it was fabulous. Oh my God, fabulous. And so that was it, really. But it was always second prize for me. And now Paul doesn't use the name over much, and now you've got endless radio stations can call themselves the Beat. Now even on MSNBC you've got the Beat with Harry Melba, the news beat, I suppose, you know. So everybody else can use it apart from me, it turns out, which I think is a shame. But some American fans, and some of them in Boston, diehards, Anglophiles, some of them, they insist on calling the band The Beat. That's it. Don't they? They just called it The Beat. And I had thought in the past about, well, let's just use the name The Beat. And, but it turns out now, after the first 40 years, everybody knows us as the English Beat. And so they wouldn't know who you were unless you used that. That's funny, isn't it? So that shows you the harm that prevarication can bring. So I'm afraid we're lumbered with it, and it's not that bad, I suppose, the English piece. It sounds a little parochial in this international world somehow, but I just thought The Beat was a great name for a group. And I just thought nobody had dared ever use it because it was a bit too close to the Beatles, perhaps. And I just thought, how come there'd never been a group called The Beat? So when I bring the record out in England next year, it will be The Beat with yours personally, and over here it'll be the English Beat with Dave Wakeling or with my name somewhere. That's the agreement within the band. You can use the name of the group for doing concerts, and if you want to bring out a record, put your name on it as well, so it distinguishes from the original, or as I prefer to call it, the initial lineup. It all seems to get on pretty well now, the original members of the band, so that's another blessing of age, I think. It not necessarily, I don't know if it's wisdom, I think it's just Alzheimer's, and we can't remember why we hated each other now, and we don't really have the energy to pursue it, perhaps. No, we do seem to be really, I think perhaps you see loads of misery and tragedy in your life as you go through it. It puts in perspective what could have really upset you as a younger person when you think nowadays, oh well, compared to some of the stuff I've seen since, it's not actually that bad, is it?
You performed with the original lineup in the 1980s at the US Festival in California. Can you tell me about that experience playing in front of such a large audience at such a big event?
Well, the best bit about it was we played both US festivals. Boingo Boingo was the only other group that did. So that was great fun. And the second time you could savour it a bit. The second time's twice as nice. You can settle back and enjoy it a bit more. The first time was a blur of helicopters. I'd never been in a helicopter before either. That was actually more scary than playing the US Festival. Nobody tells you when it takes off, it doesn't just go up in the air. If the wind catches it, it can go like 12 or 15 feet sideways without... It was really horrible. I hated it. And then I liked it coming back. The helicopter ride coming back was okay. But going there, very scary. And anyway, you just don't think, I never thought and still don't, that rock and roll and helicopters and small planes and, no, they don't mix, do they?
Yeah.
It's like pop singers in a jacuzzi by themselves. That's another mistake, isn't it? You see the patterns. Pop stars get into small planes, bingo. They get into the bath by themselves, boom. So there's certain things that you can do to increase your chances. And one of them is unavoided helicopters or light aircraft when ever doing concerts. Too cavalier, I think. I don't like it. So you get on stage and you can see people coming over the hill at the back of the crowd in San Bernardino, and they're about the size of ants. And you can just sort of make out figures as silhouettes. And it reminded me instantly of the film Zulu at the very end, where whatever the few Welsh soldiers standing there with sore throats from singing Men of Harlech for the last 10 hours, and they think they've fought to a draw, and then that huge line of Zulu warriors comes up on the top of the hill. That's how I felt during the first song. And then also, I noticed that my knees were shaking, and I couldn't stop them, and it started to get worse. And the only way I could stop them was I had to pull my kneecaps up really tight, like a yoga position, like you're overdoing Iyengar yoga and trying to pull your kneecaps up to your shoulders. And so I kind of locked my legs for the first song. And so long as I didn't try to move, but just sat and tried not to look at the Zulu warriors along the silhouettes on the rim of the audience, I managed to get through the first song all right. And from there on, we relaxed a little bit. And the crowd was starting to enjoy us a lot. And I think we were lucky, or very clever, we could get people to dance without being self-conscious in the daytime. Most bands can get people dancing at night times, usually a bit more, if at all. But a lot of bands have a struggle getting people to dance much in broad daylight. There's something about the uplifting first nature of our sound, I think. So we got 220,000 people, including the little ants at the back of the stage, and the Zulu warriors, with the shields and the spears. And everybody started dancing, so it really kind of took off then. And we played Too Nice to Talk To, which had been a hit single in England, a top 10 hit. And we started playing it, and during the saxophone solo, one of the band danced up to me all enthusiastically, and I sort of answered back, we're doing Nick and Keith or something, and he says, do you realise we're getting paid more for performing this song live here today than the song made entirely in royalties from being a top 10 single?
Wow.
What I thought was amazing, that he was able to do the math whilst playing the song. Unless he'd started the calculations in the break, crunched it down and then just had to put the pieces together during the first verse and chorus.
Yeah.
So I thought it was an odd thing to come up with, and then, of course, you couldn't think about anything else to the point where I almost wanted to tell the crowd at the end, but I didn't. We got to see the Clash's last concert, I believe, on the second Dust Festival.
Wow.
And we didn't know, and nor did they. So that was exciting. From being a huge Clash fan, thinking they were the best group in the world, which I still think they are, to standing on the side of the stage, there was a bit of or could have been a fight, an altercation between the Union and the crews. They tried to switch the Clash off. Oh, I didn't think so. And so it was a bit like West Side Story, with gangs forming up to do ritualistic fighting, or one of those Michael Jackson videos where they do the same. It was great, and I got to be on the side of the stage with my sleeves rolled up and a sneer on my face because I was part of the Clash tour, and the Union wanted to switch the power off on them, and all their crew went running at them, and all of our crew ran on stage to support, and looked as though fists were going to be thrown, and then instead the Clash got to play some more songs. But it turned out it was the last songs they ever did, so I'm glad they did. I'm glad we were willing to fight for that encore, as it turned out it was the last Clash music ever. But the things that happen, if you just hang around on the side of the stage and keep your eyes open for 40 years, see some amazing things.
Well, as I mentioned, the English Beat will be performing at the Brighton Music Hall on November 6th. Dave, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me today, and good luck with the tour.
Absolute pleasure. I don't know if any of the noises have come about over the phone, but I've actually been in the bath for this interview, and I've gone entirely against my own advice. I've been in the bath by myself, and I haven't put any more hot water in because I thought it would disturb the interview a bit, but it's got quite cold. Anyway, luck would have it, Deborah, my girlfriend's been here keeping a steady eye on me, so there hasn't been any risk of me drowning in the bath.
Good.
But please, for any other musicians out there, do not bathe alone. No light aircraft, no bathing alone, unless you've got somebody keeping an eye on you. Splendid, what a lovely interview. Thank you very much indeed. I can't wait to be there. I spend a lot of time in Brighton, England, where my daughter, my son, and both grandsons live.
Cool.
And so when we go on tour, we use Brighton as one of our sort of temporary homes. All the band have come to love it there now. So we've always loved Boston. So something called Brighton in Boston. How could it get any better than that? Couldn't.
I'm calling you from Brighton right now, actually.
Wow. Wow. Well, I suppose named after Brighton, I suppose. It's a funny name when you think about it. Bright on. Odd words, aren't they?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll have to have a look round. Do they have like a palace that some king built for his mistress? No, they'd stop doing that by then, hadn't they? Do they have anything that would remind anybody of Brighton, UK? Any similar Georgian edifices or anything like that? Or maybe we can try and make some with a radio station or something in Brighton, UK.
Yeah.
Brighton for Brighton, eh? Brighton calling.
Yeah.
Brighton calling. All right, thank you very much indeed.
All right, thanks,
Put
Dave.
a bit more hot water in there now and get those bubbles going.
All right, take care.
Right. Next interview, we'll do it in the jacuzzi together and you can keep an eye on me.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you very much, boss. Really enjoyed it.